Hey everyone, Doug here with B&H, and look what we've got. It actually works. That's right. This is the Panasonic S1. The Panasonic S1 is of course the first full-frame mirrorless camera along with the S1R from Panasonic, and behind me is Greg Johnson from B&H. He'll be helping me later to demo the video features of this camera. But first, earlier today, we got to take some photos with some of our other friends from B&H, so let's take a look at the photo features of the Panasonic S1. So we've got two new cameras. This is the S1, of course, and there's also the S1R. Now, what's cool about them? So the S1 is a 24.2 megapixel camera, and the S1R is a 47.3 megapixel camera. Now the S1, actually, they're both photocentric cameras, but the S1 is a little bit more tilted in the video direction, whereas the S1R is a bit more of a photocentric camera. It of course has a higher resolution, but the S1 has a couple of more video features that we'll be getting into later. So earlier today, Sean from Panasonic was kind enough to lend me this fully functional unit, and yes, this is absolutely fully functional. We unfortunately didn't get an S1R, so everything you're seeing today is from the S1. It's stills and video.
I feel like I saw you. Oh, I did see
Oh,
you.
yeah, I did see you.
Yeah, okay.
So let me see. Let me just move around a little bit so I can see what the light is. Okay. I can't take you seriously. Chin down a tiny bit, up a tiny bit, right there. Dope. That's your new headshot.
So both cameras feature a full-frame sensor. They also use the L-mount system, which was previously established by Leica. On the side, you'll see there are two card slots, one of which is SD, the other is XQD. And I know some people are going to be very thrilled about that one. So let's talk about some specs. Now, if you like speed, AFS 9 FPS, AFC 6 FPS, and that goes for both the S1 and the S1R. If you're in 4K photo mode, which takes a series of images together, that goes up to 60 FPS. And in 6K photo mode, you get up to 30 FPS, so you'll have a wide range of photos to choose from. The electronic shutter goes up to 1/8,000th of a second on this guy, the S1, and on the S1R goes up to 1/16,000th of a second. Now, in the body, of course, is dual IS2. It is back. You get 6 stops of stabilization when combined with an optically stabilized L-mount lens. So for those of you who've used the G9, you'll probably be familiar with something called high resolution mode, and that still exists here. It uses the sensor to create an ultra high resolution image. This time, there's something called motion blur correction involved. Now, the S1 goes up to 96 megapixels, while the S1R goes up to 187 megapixels. So now, going around the body, we have a couple of interesting things to talk about. First off, this is optional, but there's an attachment for the eyepiece that is fully articulated, rotatable, has a bayonet connector, so if you're a left-eye shooter, like me, you can actually get best of both worlds. There's a new battery for the S1 and S1R, along with a new battery grip. Now, also returning from the G9 is the top status LCD. This stays on, by the way, even when the camera's off, so you always get your readout of remaining photos and battery life even through the grip. Now, EVFs are obviously a huge concern for mirrorless. I'm very happy to tell you that this is actually the highest resolution EVF in any mirrorless camera. This is a 5.7 million dot EVF OLED, of course, so it is a pleasure to look through. Now, both the S1 and the S1R do record 4K video, but the story is a little bit more complicated than that. So let's go over to Greg. These are both photocentric cameras first and foremost, but if you are looking into the video features, the S1 is probably the one you're going to want to look at. Now, that's because there's no recording limits up to 30p and 4K on the S1. 4K 60p does have a 30-minute recording limit. Now, the S1R has a recording limit in 4K up to only 15 minutes, and in high-speed mode, there's a 10-minute limit. Both of the cameras do record the standard 8-bit formats right out of the box, but the S1R will not record 10-bit. The S1, however, will have HDR HEVC 10-bit as it's mandated by HDR spec. Now, in a later optional update, 422 10-bit recording will be available for the S1. Vlog will also be available as a separate purchase for the S1 only. But the nice thing about this version is that it is the full Vlog. This is not Vlog L. So you get the full 14 plus stops that you would also get on the Varicam. One final video difference in the S1 and S1R is about sensor readout. Now, in most modes up to 30p, you have full sensor readout on the S1. When you go to 60p at 4K, you drop to APS-C crop. On the S1R, you do actually have a full frame readout, even at 4K 60. New mount means new lenses. There's 3 new lenses at launch. This right here is the 24-105 f4. There's a 70-200 f4 and a 50mm 1.4 reference. And you could probably guess what that means, reference quality. So recently we've done videos on other cameras like the Nikon Z6 and the Sony a7 III, and you know, I've been a Panasonic user for a while now, so I am very excited to try this, and I know it looks good, but I do wonder how the footage is going to stack up. So after watching this, I want you guys to let me know in the comments below, because what do you think? How does it compare to those other 2 cameras? So that's the Panasonic S1 and S1R, the first full-frame mirrorless cameras from Panasonic. I had a blast using this. I can't wait to see more footage out in the field. So if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe below. I'm Doug from B&H, and I'll see you next time.